Find out later.
You never know with Tim. Sometimes no, I'm not going to say sometimes his background's more interesting. That might be the wrong approach.
It is. Actually, that's why I use it. It detracts and deflects away from me, right?
You betcha.
Yeah. So I like this holodeck image because it kind of tells us what we're going to be doing today, really.
Well, we can plot things right there on your screen.
Oh, yeah. Stuff we can do. 3D objects.
You know, I found out that my laptop is not green screen compatible.
No, so neither's mine.
Oh, it isn't. So you're on your desktop now?
Yes.
Okay.
It tells us what we're going to be doing today. Really.
And it says that I can turn off the green screen, and that's when this happens.
Right.
That's when this happens. See that thing disappear?
Yeah.
That's weird.
I thought that was Curtis.
Oh, it could have been.
Okay, I'm going to mute now, Tim, and be nice.
Okay. No, I love conversation. We could talk all day. This could be an all-day event.
Turn off the green screen, and that's when this happens.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to be quiet too, so Curtis can go ahead and do the introductions, and then, or I'll actually ask for some. But.
Okay, I'm going to mute now, Tim, and be nice.
Okay.
Oh, no, I love conversation. We can talk all day. This could be an all-day event.
Ooh, I love that feedback loop.
Okay.
That's what I said.
I'm going to be quiet too, so Curtis can go ahead and do.
All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our second training series for faculty. Last night we had the introduction to Zoom, which I hope those who attended found useful. Today we have Tim Foster here, and what he's going to do is go over course mapping. And this is really good for especially online learning, because what it does is it prepares your course completely through the entire semester and allows you to really look at your course from a holistic perspective and really map it out through the entire semester, because it's really important to have that whole course plan and have it laid out right from the beginning. So I'm going to turn the time over to Tim and let him take it from here. Tim, the floor is all yours. Oh, really quick, if everyone doesn't mind, we do have your list here in the thing, but if everyone in the chat wouldn't mind putting your name in the chat just as your signature of being here, I will take your list from the side too, but it kind of helps Morningstar with her record keeping. We will try and keep record of everyone who's in the thing, but it does help. And also, if you have any questions, unless Tim directly solicits, please do put your questions in the chat bar. If we don't get to them, we will email them out. We will email answers out. So just because we do just have an hour, and I do want to make sure it is a Friday, so I want to make sure we respect everybody's time, because I know Fridays we don't want to spend all day in a Zoom meeting. So please put your questions in the chat unless Tim directly solicits for questions. So with that being said, Tim, the floor is all yours.
All right. So as you all know, maybe not, some of my past history has been that I have actually done the work of an instructional designer. So what I'm going to do is kind of take off my faculty hat . Now I can get busy. All right. This is my instructional design hat. So I would like to open this up with the fact that this is going to be a pedagogical sort of session. What we're going to do is we're going to talk about how to set up a course, how to map it, how to make it look good will be coming up next. And how to implement this course map will be in the next session. So just so you know. So as we do this, I want you to follow along, but after the session, I would like you to take a copy of the course map that I sent out and start to fill it out. Reason being, the next session that we do with Deanna is going to be putting it into place. So if you have your thing filled out, you have your map done, you're ready to go, and you're going to find it to be quite fast. So in the instructional design world, this is where we will call a faculty person in, sit down with them, and discuss the course and what they want to do. So I would like to switch over to a screen share. And let me pop over to the agenda. Is there anybody that would like to say a quick prayer for this?
I would do it.
Oh, thank you, Camillus. Go for it.
Качественно, como мы hay que estar como idem dam вам дедек нам пойма стип kan мчит асумас мам то юник то башату мачка сапик май машчам тасам махим чма май там хостя диги for all things that we'll learn today in this new world as we emerge and get more in tune to what is happening and how to manipulate it for the benefit of our people. All these things in your name. Amen.
Thank you, Camillus. Okay, so as you can see on the agenda, the first thing I'd like you to consider is how you teach. Everybody has a little bit of different style. So as you go through the how you teach, think about how you're going to actually teach in the class. Now, normally our experience is face-to-face. So how do you teach face-to-face? So as you start thinking about that, the next thing I would like you to do is maybe pull out your actual syllabus. Okay, so based on your syllabus, a lot of things can be done. Now, if you do your syllabus with a course schedule, things all of that nature, you've got a lot of things already put in. So your syllabus is a great thing to get started with this course map with, okay? So I would also like to show you a couple other things. Basically, what are your objectives when you teach? So what we're going to do is we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about forming an objective, and we'll be talking about Bloom's digital taxonomy and a little bit about rigor, not much. So with that, I would like to start with showing you, oh boy, let me get that title bar out of the way up there. The course map that I sent out to you. So the instructions are pretty clear, but there's some, things you have to really consider. Let's see here. Did everybody get a copy of the course map?
No.
No.
Okay. Those of you who did not get a copy of the course map, I actually shared it with you in the agenda on our first training set in the beginning of the semester. However, just email me and I will share it with you. I'll share the actual file with you out of my Google Drive, and then you can save it as a copy and go. Okay, so so basically you tease out your course description, you look at your course outcomes, you look at everything on your syllabus, and then you sit down. And this is what I would do with faculty. Hold on a second, I gotta hit that tab. So this is actually what a course map is going to look like as we fill it out. As you can see, it has space for modules, weeks, topics covered, module level learning objectives, readings, lectures, and supplemental resources, assignments, quizzes, exams, and other assessments. So in week 1, this is actually a copy of a real course map done at the University of Arizona. This is a philosophy course, and I believe it was the philosophy of happiness. But you can see how he's filling it out. He said, okay, week 1, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to introduce and orient. Not so much in here. We're not going to really do, the only objective he really has, and he could put that in there, would be objective is to introduce yourself to your classmates. Then, or write a post in the discussion to introduce yourself. Then we have starting with a module. So we'll go to his actual week 1. Hedonic utilitarianism. Sounds really fun, huh? But this is what he's going to do. He's going to identify and define, reconstruct, and explain these items. Then he's going to move down into read Jeremy Bentham. And you'll put the excerpt in the actual course, read Jeremy Bentham, another excerpt, read another thing, and then watch this lecture. He actually did a lecture and he hooked it in, so you would watch the lecture. Then how he would take care of the assessment is he actually had a VoiceThread discussion, or in our case, a regular discussion in the discussion board, or a Zoom meeting would work. And he also has a Module 1 quiz. So with that, we can also kind of look as a, let's see here, and get rid of one of these windows here so I can see. So let me scroll down a bit. Looks like this is just a quick copy. I'll send this out to everybody so you can get a look at it as well. Let me just open that back up.
Hey, Tim, if you want to send it to me, I'll make sure it's sent out to everyone.
Outstanding, outstanding. All right. Now, can't seem to get to the scroll bar, so it's not letting me do much more than this. Week 2 would be the next, topic. So the way he has this is week 2 and 3. So then week 4 would be the next topic. So this is how he's going to construct his modules. He's going to label it week 1, hedonistic utilitarianism. And in his introduction area of the module, he's going to say, this is what you have to do. You have to identify and define, reconstruct, and explain. This is how you're going to do it. This is what you have to do. Read, 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 watch. And finally, take these quizzes or assessments or just do the discussion, whatever it is. Now, hopefully this is fairly clear. I'm going to move on to the next item. This individual here, just something I ran across last night, really good document, and I will include this also in a link. Actually, I'll do that right now. Hold on. Going to the chat and putting a link in. Okay, so you'll be able to get to this. So those of you who are aware of the Bloom's taxonomy, this is a different taxonomy. Because of the medium, we have a different set of things we need to do. So we have remembering, understanding, applying, analyzing, evaluating, and creating. Now, a lot of people will go ahead and say, okay, we're a community college, so we're going to do level 1 and 2 and 3. I don't know. Even in my 100 level class, I actually have them do this. They're creating a new product. They're creating a video or an audio. And that creation is the highest level of attainment in this taxonomy. So it also includes words. These are the verbs we can use to create a decent objective. So perhaps when I do my final project, I say, create and design a video to describe an issue, or to describe a system, or to tell me how the system works, or how do you compare and contrast two systems. Even at this level, if they create it, that's a great deal of experience for them, and there's where learning occurs. So there's also some really good information in here about some of the errors of thinking in this, but it doesn't really matter. These are some of the descriptions that you can use. These are very handy. Now our good friends at Arizona State University have made it even better for us. There is an objectives builder. Stand by for the link. Okay, link on the way. Okay, I'm going to scroll down, and what I want to show you is how this thing works. So this thing will tell me about the tool, give me examples and instructions on how to use it. Once I'm ready, I just have to click begin. So I think I want them to understand. I want them to describe. By the end of this course module lesson, you will be able to describe. This is an outcome. This is interesting. So you can see how it's helping me out. I want them to explain. I want them to predict, summarize. You can see how they're using these key terms. Let's say summarize. Okay, what skill do you want them to summarize? Let's see, I want them to and then I can get my new objective. I'm going to create another one. So I can go through all of these and create them as I go. Oh, okay. Thanks, Kenneth. I see there was an issue with the secure, with the HTTPS. Okay. So this is where you can form your objectives. Now, do you have any questions? And I'm going to open the floor up a little bit about this. It's pretty self-explicit, isn't it? There's some other goodies here too. There's a resource library. You know, these people at ASU have done a great job on their online program. And they have done a great job on providing their faculty with tools, and I don't mind using them. So here they go through some of the ideas. These are great, and we'll go over these in more detail, just to give you an idea of some of the things you can find there. Now, let me go into, and I'm going to flip back to my, I would like to talk a little bit about not just objectives, but the rigor of the objectives. As you look at the course map and you actually get everything mapped out and you look at your entire course, everything you're going to have them do, everything you want them to do, and all the outcomes and objectives, then you have a bigger picture of the rigor of your course. Now, the rigor is the difficulty, of course, how challenging it is. So, is it too challenging? Is it not challenging enough? You'll find holes using that course map. Maybe week 2 or week 3, there's no quiz, or maybe there should be. Maybe there's not an activity. Maybe there's nothing to watch or nothing to read. Maybe you need to add that. So you can look at the holes really, really easily using a course map. Now, rigor is something else too. On the online environment, when you create an assignment, how long do you think it'll take a student to complete it? How many hours will it take? Is it enough? So is doing your paper, is your paper going to take a half hour to make? An hour? 2 hours? Or is it a big process? Is it going to be a scaffolded paper with all these activities to make the final paper? That's up to you. But you can put all of those activities on that course map and then get ready to put them into the modules, because we are talking about a modular learning system here. So rigor and estimating the time that the students would take to do them is important. So looking at the overall course map, look for the holes, look for places to add information, and finally, let's go down a little bit. One thing you're going to notice is, unlike a face-to-face class, we can't have a lot of busy work. And especially if we have an 8-week or a 5-week course that teaches the same thing as a 15 or 16-week course. Busy work is a killer, and it's unnecessary unless it actually reinforces something. If it reinforces something, we create an objective for it, tie it into an assignment, and then we can record the activity and assess if learning has occurred or not. This is an extremely important point. So pedagogy is great, but when you're actually on the ground teaching the class, it's quite a different thing, and that's andragogy. And we'll talk a little bit about that. That's just the ability to be flexible with the students, which we're having to do with the current pandemic. We need to be able to be quick on our feet. We need to be able to adjust as we go. You know, pedagogy works, but sometimes we miss things, and we'll find them. And as we find them, we can evaluate the results of what we've done. In Canvas, there are some tools that look at analytics. There's student feedback within Canvas, and then there's the evaluations, not only the student evaluations, but the faculty evaluations. I use all of that to make adjustments as necessary in my courses. Is there anybody that does not adjust their course if something goes wrong? I don't think so. But you have to be aware of what you can do to change it. And in this very first step of design, you're setting yourself up to really be able to start filling out these course shells very quickly and getting everything you need in place, and you will not forget anything. That's the best thing about these courses. Once you get everything constructed the way you like it, and everything's in place, and the work is appropriate, the rigor's correct, everything flows. Now, there's still going to be problems. There always are. But there are some really interesting things when you look at this digital taxonomy and you look at the way we can form these objectives to be much more specific and measurable. Okay. Now, I would like to open the floor for questions.
Hey, Tim?
Yes.
This is Linda.
Hey,
Hi,
Linda.
I have a question.
Yes.
So I don't know if this is the right place to necessarily address this question, but my question is, what counts with Carnegie as far as hours that the students interacting? I know discussion group is one of them, but I don't know how else to measure that because so is this a good place to talk about that, or is it another time?
Well, actually, that's kind of part of the rigor, part of the design, right? We're looking at how we discuss things, how the activities flow. So actually, I think what the way I would consider it is there's a way to look at the activities. So basically, a one-on-one activity with the student, you and the student, that's direct contact. So that's faculty to student contact. That's okay. That's good. That's active. Also, when you do a lecture and Zoom, that's direct contact, believe it or not. So we can measure that. We can measure what we have to do to respond to the students. You know, our feedback is part of that. Now, we can't really measure homework as such. Remember, if you assign some homework, they would go out and do their homework and bring it back to class, right? Well, here we have to assign, you know, we assign homework, we expect them to do it. That's part of that extra, not the seat time part, right? In the Carnegie way of thinking. So, I don't know, that's sort of how I think about that. There's also peer-to-peer, and peer-to-peer is extremely important too. So, do the students have group activities? Are they working with each other? Are they helping each other in the discussion posts? That all counts as activity and contact. So it is a gray area to be sure, Linda, but if you think about the times you actually are communicating with the students, either en masse or one-on-one, that could be considered contact in the online environment.
Okay.
And you can take what you say to the one student, share it with all of them if you want. I mean, that's the beauty of it, right?
Okay, because, you know, with the studio time, that's kind of, to me, that's not really clear, because they've always, of course, used studio time in order to do the projects.
Right.
as 3 credit classes, you know, we're in the studio. I'm supposed to be interacting with them, you know, for an hour and a half basically. So, yeah, so that kind of answers that question, because if I give them feedback on their projects, which I do quite a bit, as long as that time is counting, then I feel like I'm covered, because my Zoom is an hour. So,
yeah,
thank you.
it is counting. Now, I guess the side point on that is it could be considered an office hour, right? But again, this is a gray area. Sure, it's an office hour if I want to put it that way, but on the other hand, I'm answering a question from a class that probably everybody else in the class needs to know the answer to, right? So I can take my recording and pop it out that way.
Right, because the courses are staying the same, you know, it's the delivery. So I guess I'm covered then. I just want to make sure that, you know, as I deliver things online, that I'm giving them enough contact hours.
Well, on the other side of the fence, the contact hours with the material itself, do you think when they're doing all the activities, how much time do they actually put in? Is it going to be 105 hours?
It's going to be, yeah.
Yeah.
So we're good. Okay.
So it's the same as a class, right?
Yeah. So thanks for clarifying that. I just, you know, I didn't know, like, with accreditation, you know, like how they measure that. So that you answered the question.
And then, hey, Linda, I'm, if you don't mind, I'd like to jump in right here, just so, because I realize, you know, we always try to measure things in time, and I get that, and it's important, and we should, you know, remember 3 credit class is supposed to be, you know, what is it, 45 hours, blah, blah, blah. But, and I'll be honest with you, when we did our emergency waiver to be able to deliver online classes with HLC, they did ding us on us not providing a good explanation of providing significant interaction between faculty and students, and between students and students. And so what I am going to say is, in your syllabuses and in your classes, you do need to provide evidence. It's not in, it doesn't need to be in any measurable amount of time, but you need to provide evidence that you provide ample time for your students to be able to interact with you, and for your students to be able to interact with each other on a weekly basis. That can be done discussion boards, that can be done phone calls, Zoom one, but each week students have to be able to interact with each other in some significant way, and your students need to be able to interact with you in some significant way. And that satisfied HLC, but that has to be there in some way. You can't just not have any contact with your students, is basically what HLC is looking for.
Because that would be a correspondence course.
Yes.
Which we're not providing.
Yes, exactly.
Doesn't mean we can't, but not when we're going online.
So as long as you can show that interaction, faculty to student and from student to student, that is what our accreditors are looking for.
Can I ask a question, Curtis? This is Sharon. Can you hear me? Okay. Yeah. So with the contact with students, is this where, like, discussion posts would count in that regard, student to student?
Yeah, so for most online classes, and Tim's more the expert on this, and I know I've taught, is most online classes, that's why, like, most online classes require us with a student to post a significant answer to a question, and then a student has to reply to 2 or 3 other students. That's usually why most online classes require that component, is because that forces that student to student interaction, and that can show then, you know, the accrediting bodies that the faculty encourage the student to student interaction. So that's kind of the syllabus answer to that question.
Okay, that was helpful, because I'm thinking that as we acquire more students who are out of state, it would be hard to have a meeting time that would work for all of them, depending upon where they're located. I mean,
Exactly.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
So Tim, tell me if, I think the industry standard is if you have a discussion post, you require students to have respond to a minimum of 2 other students, and that
Yes.
kind of industry standard is about that, correct?
It's pretty much industry standard, yeah. But you could have them reply to more.
Yeah,
you know.
definitely.
You can also have the students generate their own topics, their own discussion points, which is great.
Hey, Curtis, I have a question. So my course is designed, I mean, I think I have posed this question before in an email. Like, it's basically just completions of tasks, the task that has been provided. And I mean, from the discussion you're having right now, it seems like it's not enough, is it?
They do need to interact with each other, Rajneesh.
Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, with those task completion, there needs to include some type of interaction.
Like what? A discussion board?
A discussion board. One I know in some online courses, if they have a completion task, you can ask for peer feedback on those tasks.
Oh, yeah,
That's
because
true.
I also see some of the courses, online courses at Rio Salado, Maricopa County, they're just, because I look at them, they are just completion of tasks with no discussion or anything.
Yeah,
just you have certain tasks with certain deadlines and you complete it and you're done with the course.
And
Yeah,
most of those are considered correspondence courses.
Yeah.
This is Tony. Can I say something?
Sure.
Yeah.
Although I like using discussion questions that are topic specific to get dialogue, critical thinking, and all that stuff out of the way, I've learned that if you have just a open discussion board, that any questions you may have, the students can then say, I don't know how to do this, and 10 other kids say, I don't either. And so as far as meeting that requirement of how are we trying to communicate on an ongoing, I just have that as an open item, that they can still send me emails, they can still call me, they can still do all that stuff. But if they put it in the discussion board, we have a record of them communicating with us and us to them. And it's pretty easy to do. You don't have to come up with 10 different ones with replies and responses. So that's all I wanted to say.
No, that's a great idea, Tony. In fact, in some of my classes, they're actually doing that themselves.
And Rajneesh, I think on your end, part of the lab parts can be just task oriented. So I think that might, that's part of it too. So, and Teresa, you have
the lab part.
Oh yeah, I had my hand raised. Yeah. Yes, I think student interaction is really important. There's student-to-student interaction, student-to-faculty interaction. And I think, for some assignments, it's great to have peer feedback, but I do think, feedback that you give to students, especially if it's formative and you can do little video postings to your students, that's a form of interaction and feedback. And I personally like to change things up in my class so that it's not all the same, because there is a kind of a worrisome that creeps in if you do it the same. So, but the other point I'd like to make is to kind of differentiate the interaction piece with, I think Linda's question was, how do you know if you're fulfilling the Carnegie units? And, from my background and understanding is that it's also time on task. So just like Curtis mentioned, if you do a lab assignment that students would normally do in the lab, and then they turn it in and you give them feedback, that counts as your course time. And so in a way, it's really helpful to have taught the class face-to-face, because then you can remember what you did in the classroom and what you did as homework. In an online environment, it might look the same, but you can be assured that you're basically, if they're not the exact same activities, that you have some kind of substitute or equivalent. And that way you can ensure that you are fulfilling your Carnegie units. So that's what I wanted to add.
Yeah, and Teresa, that's really important, is not all your Carnegie hours has to be direct interaction. And yeah, so that's what it, yeah, and so like, for example, and that's like with Rajneesh's, so lab, you don't have to have all that direct interaction. And yeah, so yeah, Teresa, that's really important. So the Carnegie hours doesn't all have to be direct interaction. So one, I think we're talking, yeah, so yes, I'm sorry, I'm probably confusing things more. So part of your Carnegie hours can be task, but within that, you do need to include significant interaction with between faculty and student and between students. So, but to Tim's point, the tasks shouldn't be overloaded with just, what was the term you used, Tim?
Busy work.
Busy work. Yeah. It should be tasks related directly to a learning objective. And that's really important for online learning.
Yeah. So like on the course map, if your task has something to do with this, like demonstrate familiarity with the contents of the course syllabus, complete the Start Here module included in the syllabus, complete the syllabus quiz, and then, oh look, a discussion assignment, introduce yourself, where they respond to each other, you have it. That's the interaction. That's the flow. So on screen, you can see how it would work.
Okay, I have more questions.
Excellent.
So if I just post my content materials, all right, and I mean, the content material cover all the objectives, and I assign quizzes and homework based on those objectives, plus the lab. But the direct interactions that I have with the student is mostly through email and not a lot of emails. All right. Mm-hmm. Now, is this put me in crosshairs with the HLC?
I wouldn't say it puts you in crosshairs with the HLC, but it would be a design issue. Mm-hmm.
Okay, what's the flaw in this design? I mean, what can be added to this design? A discussion. Well, I mean, like
yeah.
He said lab and everything counts toward Carnegie hours, right?
Right.
How do I decide this particular student or this demand has been met?
Do they work together on a project or product or lesson?
No, this is an individual student working on their individual assignment at a different corner of this place.
Mm-hmm. I guess as a suggestion, I would just figure out maybe a way to throw in a group activity on one of the projects or one of the lessons. That would take care of peer-to-peer contact.
Okay.
Something like that. I mean, something we probably have to really just sit down after you do your course map, and maybe we can just take a quick look, see where the holes are.
All right.
You know?
All right.
I mean, that's what this activity's for. You know, you look at everything, put it all down on this paper, and then start looking. I mean, the map shows a lot.
Okay.
Right. So if you find it's just, content heavy, maybe that's okay too. I mean, every course has a different way, right? I mean, I can't say all courses are the same. I can't say this is the right way to deliver every time. I can't, because they're different. So some of the courses may lend themselves to a little bit more peer-to-peer activity than others. Some maybe not so much, but that doesn't mean we don't, take up that space somewhere else.
So Michael Newberry, he just posted something. Could you explain a little bit on that, like comment on that?
Let's see.
The chat box.
They teach correspondence courses. I'm not aware of the Maricopa Community College system teaching correspondence courses myself. I've only seen the online ones, and Rio Salado was part of that. So I'm not sure. I haven't seen the correspondence.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying, because at Rio Salado, I mean, I have taken courses, and all they are like, it's complete the task, submit your assignments, read the text, and that about it. not interactions with the
Can I jump in here? Because
yeah.
Mike doesn't have a microphone unless I call him over. We're in different rooms. Yeah, that's why he's answering that way. What he's trying to say is that Rio Salado they are online courses. They're not correspondence courses, and they're fully accredited, and they do give, degrees, but they have a different philosophy, and there's not any student interaction. It's all between the faculty and the student, and there's quite a bit of interaction between the faculty and the student. They don't have discussion boards or any kind of group activities, and my understanding by talking to Michael is that it has to do with, I guess, making sure students don't contact each other and work together. They run a lot of students through their programs, and so and then all other students they're actually from all over the world. So it's just their philosophy, and we've had long discussions about that because I come from a Pima school of online education where it's all about interaction and discussion. But I think the point is that even though they have a different philosophy, it's not a correspondence. They're not correspondence courses. It's an online university. Somehow HLC is okay with that. I'm not privy to that process, but just to kind of clarify about what Rio Salado does.
Yeah, and that's what I was want to know, because I have taken courses at Rio Salado and Mesa Community Colleges, and that's all there is to it. In some of the courses, online is just complete the task, and if you have a problem, just email the instructor. And so, I mean, that's one way of doing it. And now I've been hearing that, oh no, this is just like a correspondence course if you do something like that. So there's a dichotomy here. So I need to know the model.
And so this is just the clarification for everybody, because this is what HLC is telling me, that we need to show a significant interaction between faculty and students, and we need to show a significant interaction between students to students. And in our original application for our waiver, I did show interaction between faculty and students, but they said no because we didn't show any interaction between students to students. So I had to indicate that yes, we will have interaction between our students. So for us, we have to show interaction between everybody. And so I don't know what other colleges and stuff are doing, but we are going to follow the guidelines that everyone will have interaction. So.
And, keep in mind, some of the courses that we might have taken in the past were formed a different way just because of the technology of the time. I mean, I've been doing online courses for a long time. I started at NAU before WebCT was out of its third version. So it's been something I've been working on for a while, and they have changed. And it was content heavy, and it was email, So the correspondence style course was there, and they called it online, more or less, because it was. I mean, oh boy, this is brand new. But now it's changing. We've got all the new tools. We got different ways of going about it. We got more media. We got better, the internet's a little bit faster, a little bit wider. So things have changed. We got this Web 2.0 thing, and there are differences. So, yeah. I like that comment. Being the tribal college, interaction is crucial, I think. Okay, are there any other questions or comments?
Teresa's feedback and raise my hand, but again, no one's looking at me.
Sorry.
I want to note the point that what Curtis mentioned is not just guidance. If that's the case, we're going to have auditable proof that we did it. One way is through formal discussion questions that give feedback between each other. I commonly, in my other NAU life, I say respond to this and then respond to two peers with your comments. Now that's going to be a little bit of a problem for some of our students who are doing this on their phone. I mean, so we actually have to teach them how to go beyond just I agree with you and all this stuff. So if we're going to put this in, and I'm going to, Curtis, now that I hear this with the HLC stuff, it's going to require us teaching our students how to do it through modeling and other things. And so it's going to go beyond just having a chance to have a discussion board to ask questions. And we may have to actually go into this formal respond to two peers once you respond to what is expository writing, and then you put down what you think it is, and someone else says, well, I like what you said, especially about. And we're going to have that in our shells, in our Canvas, whatever we call it. Tim, what do we call it in Canvas? In Blackboard Learn, we call it shell, within our course. So is that the same thing?
It's the same terminology. Yeah, we call it a course shell.
Our class modules, we're just going to have it to where it can be audited, or it's just us saying we're doing it. So, I mean, I think this is a pretty pedagogical, andragogical thing in a way. Now, where that is supported by is adults like to give their opinion. They may have to know how to do it, but so that is a good andragogical approach to this, is allowing them to say, well, here's what I think about that, or it's a waste of time, but get that dialogue. I just didn't know that HLC said that, Curtis, so I apologize. I slept through that. Okay, signing off, taking my hand down.
Well, this is a great discussion, and it does kind of point to the way things are changing, and that there are expectations for a lot of interaction. So I don't think they want it to turn into what it used to be, because it wasn't, it was okay, but it wasn't the best. So there was a lot that was missing, I think. But with the tools today, I mean, it's getting a lot better. But, some of the things we do need to point out to the students, if you look at the Canvas system itself, even though we're using Zoom, there is a collaborate button in there. And there is a conference button in there that goes to Big Blue Conference. They can talk to each other on the Big Blue Conference the same way we are here. Only difference is it doesn't record it for over 2 weeks. That's why we couldn't use that. So, and the share thing, the sharing document thing, is actually just a fancy Google Doc. And it's just wired into the navigation tool. So these things being built in kind of show how things flow, and having that Zoom link in there is great too, because now we have a different way, a different avenue, and it's just easier to do a recording and get it done. And closed captioning is going to work, I just found out. So we're getting closer. But keep in mind, this changes, it's going to continue to change. This basic course map is going to carry you through the future. If you learn how to do this with your other courses, you're going to be able to go into any system, not just Canvas or D2L. And these things are going to be changing and morphing into other things. Eventually, we're going to be using different systems, but this concept, this pedagogical concept for a course, holds true. It is the standard way for instructional designers to scope out your course. So, do you guys have any other? A discussion board's recordable? No. They're recorded only in the text, and I think if you do have a media file attached to your answer in the discussion board, they stay there. So, I do believe there's a way to put recorded things. Is that what you're talking about, Dwayne?
Yes, here I am shaking my head.
Ah, cool. Yeah, I see that. Yeah, so they are. I mean, you're recording them in text, and I would imagine that those files are going to stay in there as far as the media recordings. However, if you move and hold, you copy your course and archive it, I don't think those things are going to stay in there. You're more or less stripping out all the student activity and getting just the contents, and then you move that over. So that's a difference. You've noticed when you do a course copy, it kind of changes things. Just a little. Okay. Looking good there, Dwayne. I love that shirt. You're muted. What'd you say?
I said, go Padres.
Hey, Padres. There you go. Baseball season, huh? All right. Any other questions?
Well, I got my hand back up again.
Oh dear. Okay, Tony.
Whenever Dwayne talks, I have to talk. I think having it in our course modules with the requirement, I do accreditation for NAU, and that is a good evidence that we're trying. We maybe don't have to have their responses, you know, but the fact that we've got it built in will probably address that need. If we can, you know, I will always respond to my discussion questions that my students are. And if those responses are there, great. I don't know. It's like, do we show HLC all of the assignments our students do and their own personal work? They normally don't go to that level. But
No,
I
they
think if
don't.
we have something like that built into it, you know, HLC lives at NAU too. And
Yes, they do.
Yes, they do. And so usually they don't go into, so they don't have as much rigor as we might expect. Okay. Now, Dwayne, don't talk anymore. I'm getting a sore throat.
It's our peers. And remember, the HLC team is a team of our peers coming in to assess us, you know, with the HLC standards is all, right? So naturally, our peers are going to be a little different than, say, NAU's peers. You know, that's how it all works. I'm going to give you all a sneak preview here. We're working on a getting started module for the courses, and we think this might take care of a lot of the issues that we're talking about. If we have our descriptions, our course objectives, and outcomes listed on a page before they even get in, we have that taken care of. I have special instructions, and then I'm going to back up a little bit. I've also had some, we've been working a little bit on the module end of it too, saying, okay, this is how we'd like the module to look, but every module should have an overview. This will address some of that. We're going to have our objectives listed, what you need to do, and how to succeed. So every module should have this kind of information on the top as well. I see I have a chat here. Hold on. That's the problem. Right now, they can only use the free Zoom accounts. So we don't offer the Zoom accounts to the students. The Zoom account we have in our class is controlled by us. So if the students request us to set something up, we can do that and then make them the host. That's possible. Yeah. So there are other ways too. I mean, we're looking at other ways to do this, but keep in mind that the clarity of the construction of your course is going to be helped by the map. They're going to see, you know, they're going to see the same thing they see in all the other classes, and we'll have all the objectives in there, all the outcomes that we need listed. And we'll talk about that more a little bit later, but this is the kind of thing that can be generated for your course map. This is going to help you, your course map's going to help you plug stuff in. Do you have any questions about this kind of thing, this activity?
Anthony has his hand up.
Pardon me?
Anthony has his hand up. Hands up.
Thank you, Rajneesh. Yeah, Tony.
I didn't take it back down after I talked, so I have nothing else to say.
All right. Okay, great. So, Gmail has Hangouts. Yes, it does. It does indeed have Hangouts, and in our case, I believe we have a little bit better deal. I think they call it Meet. Let me double check. You know, one thing about these little minimized Zoom tiles, they get in the way of your screen shares. You probably noticed, huh? So, let's see. Yeah, and here it's Meet. We have Meet, which is the advanced Hangout. It still has a few issues, but it also has recording and closed captioning, so this thing works as well. It's not bad. Okay. Any other questions? We've got about 6 minutes left, so I guess I can go ahead and just, oh, I do have a chat. Hold on. Yes, they are free. Thank you, Teresa. The Zoom accounts are free. They just won't integrate into Canvas. The students can do the same thing, but they're limited. You know, all the limitations we had when we were using the free accounts will exist for the students. So, and the recordings are limited as well. Any other questions or comments?
Hi, Tim. It's Deanna. I do have a question.
Hi. Yes.
So my question is for the discussion posts, and because I heard Dr. Peterson talking about, like, we need to make sure that we demonstrate to HLC that we're engaging with students. And so I'm trying out this method. I'm in the middle of summer session too, but I need to know if this is okay. So I have discussion posts every week, but what I do is I will read all the discussion posts, because when you have 25 students in class and you're trying to respond to 25 people, that's really intense. So what I do is I'll read all of them, and then I will take like maybe 5 to 10 students, like just a particular part of their discussion post, and I'll do a video recording responding to the class as a group for the discussion. Is that okay? Is that like enough engagement, or do I still need to individualize it? Not that I don't do any individualizing. I do. I just do it through assignments.
I think that's okay. I mean, it sounds perfectly fine. You're summarizing everything that's going on in the discussion. You're pointing out the things that you want them to look at a little bit more, focus on. So yeah, you're guiding the discussion with a summarization. That's fine. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's see. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm just reading a couple of the comments in chat. Sorry, I don't need to get distracted. So I don't have very much time left, but I would like to summarize exactly what we've done. I'd like to say, I'd like to go back to, let's see here. Let me go back to something. I'm just going to double back on this agenda and reconsider how you teach. I'm going to I would like you to absolutely think about that. Do you lecture? Do you like lecturing more? Maybe you want to do Zoom recordings, more interaction, more group work, different ways. You know, think about all that stuff, and that'll help you as you map. Syllabus, make sure it's complete. Make sure you have your schedule in there, the whole bit. As you create activities, think about how long it's going to take the students to take them. Is it busy work? Is it going to work? Does it, you know, attach to an actual objective? Will it provide an outcome? Look at the objective builder. Make sure your objectives are measurable. Make sure that those action verbs fit the exact level that you would like them to be operating at. Use your course map to look and review your rigor. Be sure to, if you see something that's just turning into a big busy work thing, not actually doing anything, just cut it and move into something a little bit more effective. Go ahead and look at the evaluations that you can. Be sure to look at the information you get out of your Canvas courses, the analytics. They will do things for you. There's also a lovely way to look at interactions in Canvas, and that's also a tab that you can look at. So I'm not going to get into those weeds, but they're there. You need to look at the results, you need to evaluate what you see, and you need to look back at your objectives, look at your curriculum, and make sure that everything in there is going to tie back right around and is doing what you think it's doing. Does it match the objective, and are you achieving the outcomes that you're desiring, the outcomes you're listing? So that is the main idea on this pedagogical approach. Once you have your map, you're able to then plug it in where we're going to go next, right into a class. So I'd like you guys to get this map. I will send another copy to Curtis, and I'll send a copy of all these materials to Curtis. He'll share it out with everybody. If you have any questions, we can double back around. We can do an individual session as you're working through it. Maybe you got a question on an objective. Don't hesitate to ask. Share with everybody. We're all doing this stuff, and I think most of us, most of the faculty are doing this one way or another. I think we're all fairly good at it. It's just we need to get our ducks in a row. So that's what we're doing. I guess we're rowing up our ducks. So with that, Curtis, I could turn it back over to you for the out, and then it has been a pleasure talking today with everybody. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Tim. And yes, we'll send out all these resources to everybody. And I do want to thank everybody for the discussions today. These are all questions that are really vague, and as we're heading forward into this new world, it's something that is different for all of us, and we all have all these questions. So I appreciate everyone's discussion on these issues. I appreciate Tim for introducing this, and as we head forward, next week we'll go into the Canvas shell with Deanna and Tim, and learn how to build our shells. Our goal is to make our student experience as consistent as possible across classes. So that's kind of where we're heading into next week as we learn how to navigate Canvas and all those types of things. And this is why we started with this component of course mapping. So I know there'll be a lot more questions as we head into that. So please do continue to ask questions and clarification, and yes, we'll learn as we go. So thank you, Tim. Thank you for everyone participating. Everyone, please have a good weekend. Enjoy yourself if you can. If you're working, please take a break. With that being said, thank you for all being a part of this TOCC adventure. And thank you for being part of the Tribal College and the Tohono O'odham Nation, and taking care of our students. Until next time, we'll see you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Curtis.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Tim.
Yes.
Can we schedule for us to talk about Monday and Wednesday? Because I want to make sure that I'm aligning with your information.
Let's go ahead and do that. Do you have some time tomorrow?
I do. And then I was just going to say, I'm really sorry, Dr. Peterson, that I came on later. My daughter's appointment went a little bit past time, but I was here.
No worries.
Yeah, so I'll fill you in.
Can we do like the afternoon? Because I have another Zoom like at 5 tomorrow. So could we do like, I don't know, like 3:30?
Yeah, you set up a time and then just fire it over my way, and then we'll hit it.
Okay. And then I was going to ask Dr. Peterson, since you're on, with my the current way that I have my courses set up,